Beneath the icy surface of Mount Everest lies a world of haunting secrets, uncovered through the lens of drones. As these unmanned aircraft soar over the frozen landscape, they reveal chilling discoveries frozen in time.
This is George Mallerie. Oh my God, that leg is angulated.
This is a horrifying glimpse of the 14 most haunting discoveries made on Mount Everest. Number 14. The Rainbow Valley. Near the summit of Mount Everest lies a haunting area known as the Rainbow Valley. While the name might conjure up images of serene beauty, the reality is much darker. This stretch, located below the northern ridge at over 8,000 meters, is a graveyard of climbers who succumbed to the perils of Everest. Clad in brightly colored jackets, reds, blues, oranges, and greens, the bodies of fallen adventurers, along with multicolored debris from tents and oxygen tanks, give the area its deceptive name. Rainbow Valley serves as a sobering reminder of Everest's deadly allure. Each year, climbers brave the mountain's infamous death zone, the area above 8,000 meters, where oxygen levels plummet and survival becomes a constant struggle. Harsh winds, frigid temperatures, and thin air create an unforgiving environment. For those who cannot continue, there is little room on the narrow trails, and bodies are often pushed aside to rest eternally in the valley. The death zone is notorious not only for its danger, but for the difficulty in retrieving bodies. With the extreme altitude making even basic movements a monumental task, recovery efforts are rare. Every retrieval attempt requires multiple climbers and significant resources, making it too dangerous for most. As a result, many fallen climbers remain where they perished, forever frozen in place. Understanding the Rainbow Valley and the dangers of the death zone also means understanding the severe effects of altitude sickness. As climbers ascend, the thin air reduces the oxygen supply to the brain, causing acute mountain sickness. This condition manifests as labored breathing, disorientation, and even unconsciousness. Each step in the death zone is a race against time, as dehydration, increased blood viscosity, and impaired judgment push climbers to their physical and mental limits. For those who climb Everest, Rainbow Valley is a chilling symbol of the mountain's dual nature, breathtaking beauty and unimaginable danger intertwined. Number 13. Abandoned gear from lost expeditions. At a staggering 28,000 feet on the icy slopes of Mount Everest, hidden relics from long-lost expeditions emerge, bearing whispers from the past. Among these frozen artifacts, climbers have stumbled upon peculiar and mysterious gear that tells a story of human determination, exploration, and survival. Partway up the infamous First Step, a spot on Everest's northeast ridge that has thwarted many climbers, sits a forgotten camp that has likely remained untouched for decades. Here, an explorer, drawn by the glint of an old bottle, believed it to be from 1924, a clue linking to the legendary climbers George Mallerie and Andrew Irvine. Though the bottle proved to be from a later expedition, the site was filled with other haunting clues: a battery pack, oxygen apparatus, and worn-out carabiners with Chinese writing point to the 1960 Chinese expedition, the first to claim to reach Everest's summit from the north. Nearby lies a rusted shovel marked Mallerie 1979, its age-weathered grip speaking to another generation of climbers who braved the unforgiving mountain. Alongside it, scattered cylinders, likely from a 1980 French team, tell a tale of multinational attempts to conquer the peak, many of which ended in tragedy. Perhaps most striking is the giant oxygen bottle, much larger than others found from the same era. It stands out like a relic of technology, still holding gas, ready to support an expedition long vanished in time. Weather-beaten goggles, a hammer, and a mysterious bottle of pills lie in the snow, relics of the challenges faced at extreme altitudes where life hangs by a thread. Here, In this harsh, windswept landscape, frozen memories of triumphs, failures, and unrecorded stories remain abandoned. Each artifact tells a tale of courage and loss on the roof of the world, echoing the mysterious steps taken by climbers who never returned. Number 12. Unmarked Graves of Fallen Sherpas. The unmarked graves of fallen Sherpas on Mount Everest tell a haunting story, one that stretches back to the earliest days of expeditions to the world's highest peak. These Sherpas, skilled mountaineers and guides, are the unsung heroes of Everest, the backbone of every climbing team, without whom many climbers would never reach the summit. Yet, their sacrifices often go unnoticed, and many who die on the treacherous slopes are left in unmarked graves, their bodies becoming part of the cold, unforgiving landscape. The first recorded deaths of Sherpas on Everest occurred on June 7, 1922, when 7 Sherpas perished in an avalanche at 6,800 meters. This tragic event marked the beginning of a long history of Sherpa fatalities on the mountain. In 1970, 6 Sherpas died in a serac collapse in the Icefall, and just 4 days later, another Sherpa died in a lower section of the mountain. Such accidents, while heartbreaking, have become almost a grim expectation. Each year, it seems, the mountain claims more lives, and in many cases, the bodies of the Sherpas remain where they fell, unmarked and slowly blending into the icy expanse. Stumbling upon one of these unmarked graves can be a sobering experience for climbers ascending Everest. The white snow conceals the remains of these brave individuals, and only a fleeting glance at a piece of gear or clothing might signal the presence of a fallen Sherpa. These unmarked graves are a touching reminder of the human cost of Everest expeditions, a cost that is too often overlooked. Sherpa families bear this burden, knowing the dangers their loved ones face every season. Increasingly, Sherpas no longer wish for their children to follow in their footsteps, viewing the mountain not as a path to prosperity, but as a deadly gamble with fate. Yet, the unmarked graves continue to dot Everest, silent testimonies to those who have given everything to make others' dreams come true. Number 11. Strange bone fragments. Since 1921, over 330 climbers have perished on Everest's treacherous slopes, with around 200 still entombed within its frozen grasp. The arduous nature of recovering these bodies often renders such efforts impractical, if not impossible. Yet, in recent years, a disturbing new chapter in Everest's tragic saga has emerged. Kami Rita Sherpa, a renowned climber with numerous ascents of Everest under his belt, stumbled upon a grim tableau at base camp. Human bones protruding from the permafrost, smoothened by the relentless touch of ice. This discovery was no isolated incident. Each climbing season, as Everest's glaciers retreat due to global warming, new remains surface from the mountain's icy cloak. Skulls, severed limbs, and skeletal fragments now starkly visible where they once lay buried. The once hidden relics of failed expeditions and untold tragedies are increasingly coming into view. Local climbers and guides report seeing more exposed remains than ever before, a chilling testament to the mountain's ceaseless, unforgiving nature. Global warming has accelerated the melting of Everest's glaciers, revealing not just bones and old boots, but entire corpses from expeditions long past. Among the remains unearthed, an especially haunting case has emerged involving Reinhold Messner, a towering figure in mountaineering lore. Messner, celebrated for his historic ascent of Everest without supplemental oxygen, has lived under the shadow of a painful accusation since his dramatic climb of Nanga Parbat over 30 years ago. The claim that he abandoned his brother, Gunther, to die on the mountain has lingered as a dark stain on his otherwise illustrious career. In a recent exclusive interview, Messner revealed a haunting twist to this legacy. He disclosed that a bone found among the Everest glaciers was identified as belonging to his missing brother. The revelation highlights the harsh reality of the mountain's unyielding power and the enduring mysteries it holds beneath its ice-covered surface. As debates swirl around whether to retrieve or leave the remains, Everest stands as both a monument to human endurance and a stark reminder of nature's indomitable force. Number 10. Green boots. Green boots is one of the most haunting and recognizable symbols on Mount Everest, marking a tragic chapter in the mountain's murderous history. This eerie nickname refers to a body, clad in distinct neon green climbing boots, that rests in a small rock alcove on Everest's northeast ridge. For decades, climbers have passed by this grim sight on their way to the summit, serving as a constant reminder of the dangers that loom over their ascent. The man believed to be Green Boots is Tsewang Paljor, an Indian climber who was part of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police (ITBP) expedition during the infamous blizzard of May 10, 1996, which claimed the lives of 8 climbers in one of the deadliest days on the mountain. Paljor, just 28 years old, had grown up in the rugged mountainous regions of Ladakh, Jammu, and Kashmir. Dropping out of school to help his family, he later joined the ITBP, an achievement that filled his family with pride. His fateful climb to Everest, however, turned into tragedy when he and 2 other team members were caught in the storm. Paljor never made it back down. Though widely accepted as Paljor's body, some mystery still surrounds Green Boots' identity. Senior deputy leader of the ITBP team, PM Das, suggested that Paljor's body may have been lost, raising the possibility that Green Boots could actually be another member of the team, such as Lance Corporal Dorji Murup. The ambiguity has only deepened the chilling legend surrounding this figure, turning Green Boots into a macabre marker on Everest's icy slopes. Many climbers have taken shelter in the same alcove where Green Boots rests, seeking protection from the unforgiving winds and deadly cold. Some survivors have recalled sitting next to Green Boots, contemplating their fates as they waited for rescue. The presence of Green Boots, and many others who remain frozen on Everest, has become an inseparable part of the mountain's dark allure. For every climber who dares to conquer the world's highest peak, Green Boots serves as a silent witness to the deadly quest for glory and the high cost of ambition. Number 9. Avalanche Aftermath. The rumble hits first, a low, menacing growl that shakes the very ground beneath you. Instinctively, you glance upward, and your blood turns to ice. A towering wave of snow and ice is cascading down the mountain, moving faster than anything you've ever seen. There's no time to think. You leap behind a massive chunk of ice, hoping it will shield you from the avalanche's crushing force. This exact nightmare unfolded one fateful morning in April 2014 on Mount Everest's notorious Kumbu Icefall. For a group of 25 Nepali mountaineers, the day began like many others. They had trekked these perilous paths countless times, weaving through the towering seracs and gaping crevasses that litter the icefall. But at 6:45 a.m., a glacier hanging high above the icefall gave way. It wasn't small pieces of ice. These were colossal apartment-sized blocks hurtling down at unimaginable speeds, turning a routine climb into a deadly disaster. The climbers had no chance. Rescue operations were swift but grim. Helicopters buzzed in and out, their blades slicing through the thin Himalayan air, bringing the injured to safety in Kathmandu. At least 16 mountaineers, all Sherpas, lost their lives in what would become the most deadly day in Everest's history. 13 bodies were recovered, while 3 climbers remain forever entombed in the ice, their final resting place on the slopes of the world's highest mountain. For those still at base camp, the eerie silence left behind was almost as chilling as the avalanche itself. Shattered gear, ropes, and tents lay strewn across the glacier, crushed beneath the force of the deadly snow. Number 8. The South Col Camp Ghost Stories. Mount Everest, the world's tallest and most iconic mountain, isn't just known for its towering peaks and deadly ascents. It's also steeped in eerie ghost stories. Among the many legends is one told by Sherpa Pemba Dorje, a seasoned mountaineer who claims to have encountered shadowy figures near the summit. As he approached the final stretch of his climb, Pemba saw several dark, ghostly shapes. They reached out to him, pleading for food. He believes these were the restless souls of climbers who had perished on the mountain, unable to find peace until their bodies received proper funeral rites. In 1975, British climbers Doug Scott and Dougal Haston found themselves trapped overnight on Everest's unforgiving slopes. With no food and little oxygen, they felt the comforting warmth of a third presence in their snow hole, sharing body heat and offering guidance throughout the night. It was a mysterious figure that helped them survive the bitter cold, but like Smythe's ghostly companion, it remained unseen. This haunting experience is not an isolated one. Frank Smythe, an English climber, was attempting to summit Everest in 1993 when he, too, had a supernatural encounter. Alone at 28,100 feet, Smythe saw two mysterious objects hovering in the sky. They pulsated slowly, seeming out of place in the thin air. He was also overcome by the feeling of a presence beside him as he climbed, a companion so real that he even reached into his pocket to offer food. But when he turned, there was no one there. This phenomenon, known as the third man syndrome, is reported by many climbers who claim to sense an unseen presence helping them in moments of peril. More recently, in 2017, a team discovered 4 bodies at Camp 4, high on Everest's slopes. Oddly, no climbing agencies had reported missing climbers, and the identities of the bodies remain a mystery. Despite theories and investigations, the case was never solved, adding another chilling tale to the mountain's long history of unexplained deaths and disappearances. Number 7. Snow blindness and hallucinations. Climbing Mount Everest is an adventure like no other. At 29,000 feet, with sheer ice walls, endless crevices, and temperatures that could freeze skin in seconds, it's no place for a moment of weakness. Yet, the harsh reality is that the combination of exhaustion, low oxygen, and the biting cold can unravel even the strongest climbers. Snow blindness is one of the peak's cruel tricks. Caused by the unrelenting glare of sunlight off snow and ice, it's a temporary yet excruciating loss of vision. Imagine having sunburned corneas so painful that even the faintest light feels like needles stabbing your eyes. The only remedy is rest, but when you're in the death zone, above 26,000 feet, there's no time to sleep it off. Your vision fades, and with it, your chances of survival. As if snow blindness wasn't scary enough, climbers on Everest face an even more frightening danger: high-altitude cerebral edema, or HACE. In the thin air at such high elevations, the brain struggles for oxygen and begins to swell. This causes climbers to lose their grip on reality, slipping into a state of confusion and delirium. Their minds become clouded with strange hallucinations. Some talk to imaginary friends, while others believe they can fly. As rational thinking fades away, the situation can become truly dire. In their disoriented state, some climbers might even remove their warm clothing, welcoming the deadly cold with a sense of misplaced calm. On Everest, the real peril isn't just the harsh environment. Sometimes, it's the mind itself that turns into the most dangerous foe. Number 6. The Hillary Step. The Hillary Step was an iconic 12-meter rocky outcrop on Mount Everest's southeast ridge, a near-vertical section named after Sir Edmund Hillary, who, along with Tenzing Norgay, became the first to reach Everest's summit in 1953. Located at an oxygen-deprived altitude of 8,790 meters, it was long considered one of the final and most daunting challenges for climbers attempting to reach the 8,848-meter summit. The step represented a crucial moment in the climb, where the goal was amazingly close, but not without a dangerous final push. The Hillary step was known for its sheer drops, up to 3,000 on one side and 2,400 meters on the other. Climbers faced a precarious rock face that could easily be deadly without ropes or proper guidance, making it a high-stakes endeavor in what's ominously called the death zone. With temperatures plunging and the weather shifting unpredictably, even a slight misstep could prove fatal. Ropes, usually fixed by the first team of the season, made the ascent more manageable, but it was still a formidable test of endurance and nerve. The step's notorious reputation grew as climbers like Anatoly Bukreev, who described harrowing experiences in his 1997 book, The Climb, discovered bodies frozen in place, further testament to its peril. However, in 2015, the Hillary step was destroyed by a powerful earthquake. British climber Tim Mosdale confirmed the news after reaching the summit and posting photos of the now absent step. While its removal made the climb slightly easier for future adventurers, it introduced new challenges. The altered path now creates a potential bottleneck, with climbers waiting in frigid, dangerous conditions for their turn to scale the remaining sections of the ridge. Despite its destruction, the legacy of the Hillary step endures in the climbing world. Number 5. Dangerous Kumbu Icefall. The Kumbu Icefall is one of the most dangerous and iconic sections of Mount Everest's South Col route. Climbers tackling this treacherous stretch of ice face peril at every turn, as the 1.6-mile passage lies between Base Camp and Camp 1. This massive, constantly shifting icefall is a staggering display of nature's power, a frozen waterfall that serves as a grim reminder of the risks Everest poses. The Kumbu Icefall is notorious for its ever-changing landscape, where crevasses can open up without warning, and towering ice blocks, known as seracs, can collapse at any moment. Some of these crevasses stretch over 300 feet deep, and the seracs, which can be as large as houses, have the potential to break free and cascade down the icefall. In an instant, this fragile environment can unleash deadly avalanches, like the one that claimed the lives of 3 Sherpas in 2023. To understand the danger is to realize why this part of Everest climbing is feared by even the most experienced mountaineers. Since 1953, about 47 lives have been lost to the Kumbu Icefall, with 49% of these fatalities caused by avalanches, 38% by the collapse of ice structures, and 13% by climbers falling into the crevasses. It's not just the icefall's natural hazards that make it perilous. The fact that it is constantly moving as the Kumbu Glacier slowly recedes makes it even more unpredictable. Global warming has heightened the risks, as rising temperatures cause the ice to melt more quickly, increasing the instability of the entire icefall. Each climbing season, a team of specialized workers known as the Icefall Doctors takes on the dangerous task of charting a safe path through this unstable terrain. These experts lay ladders across gaping crevasses and place ropes to guide climbers through the most perilous sections. However, even with their expertise, the dangers are ever present. In fact, in one recent season, the Icefall Doctors delayed the climbing season by 12 days due to the treacherous conditions on the icefall. For those who dare to ascend Everest, the Kumbu Icefall stands as the first of many tests. Number 4. The discovery of George Mallerie's body. The discovery of George Mallerie's body on May 1, 1999, marked one of the most significant moments in the history of Mount Everest. For 75 years, the mystery of whether Mallerie and his climbing partner, Andrew Irvine, had reached the summit of Everest before their disappearance in 1924 had captivated mountaineers and historians alike. On that fateful day, a team of climbers led by Conrad Anker, along with Dave Hahn, Jake Norton, Andy Paulitz, and Tap Richards, found Mallerie's body at 26,760 feet on the north face of Everest. The body was remarkably well preserved due to the frigid conditions. Mallerie was lying face down, his arms outstretched, with a broken leg and rope tied around his waist. His clothing, tattered by decades of harsh weather, had mostly blown away, and some of his body had been damaged by scavenging birds. However, the discovery of his green hobnailed boots and climbing equipment sparked new questions. While Mallerie's body was found, Irvine's body, and the camera they carried, which could potentially prove their success, remains lost to this day. Mallerie and Irvine were last seen alive by fellow climber Noel Odell on June 8, 1924, at a height of around 28,000 feet on the northeast ridge of Everest. Odell observed them, going strong for the top, but they never returned to camp. Whether they reached the summit before perishing remains one of mountaineering's greatest unsolved mysteries. Number 3. The Lhotse Face. The Lhotse Face is one of the most daunting and legendary obstacles on the route to the summit of Mount Everest. This immense wall of ice, rising over 3,600 feet, looms above the western CWM, marking the way to the South Col, and ultimately, the summit of the world's highest mountain. The climb begins at the Bergschrund, a gaping crevasse at the base of the Lhotse Face that signals the transition to its unyielding slope of blue glacial ice. This face, angled at 40 to 50 degrees, sometimes punctuated with sections as steep as 80 degrees, tests even the most seasoned climbers. At altitudes where the air is thin, less than half an atmosphere, each step requires immense physical and mental effort. It's a brutal climb that can take anywhere from 5 to 10 hours to ascend just 2,000 vertical feet to Camp 3, which is perched dangerously on the face itself. Camp 3 is a critical point, offering a resting place for climbers to adjust to the climate before their summit bid. Climbing at such altitudes is slow, methodical, and exhausting. Even routine tasks take on new difficulty as climbers fight off the debilitating effects of altitude sickness. From Camp 3, the climb to the South Col is a battle through a maze of natural obstacles. One of the most recognizable features is the Yellow Band, a distinct section of sedimentary rock where climbers often bottleneck. Then comes the Geneva Spur, a rocky outcrop that leads to the South Col, the final staging area before the summit push. Above Camp 3, the climbers must remain vigilant. The steep, exposed terrain allows little opportunity for rest, and the danger of rock falls is ever present. Reaching the South Col is a major accomplishment, but it is also a grim reminder that they have entered the death zone, where oxygen levels are insufficient to sustain human life for long. Despite this, the climbers push forward, battling both the physical toll and the mental weight of knowing that every step higher brings them closer to the summit and closer to the edge of survival. Number 2. Silent avalanches. Silent avalanches on Mount Everest are among the most chilling natural phenomena faced by climbers. These avalanches, often preceded by an eerie calm, move with deadly force, catching those in their path off guard. Unlike the dramatic roars we might expect, these masses of snow can begin shifting almost soundlessly, creating a deceptive sense of security. As the ice and snow gain momentum, what starts as a barely noticeable rumble turns into an unstoppable cascade, obliterating everything in its path. The terror of these silent avalanches was starkly evident on April 25, 2015, when a massive avalanche struck the Everest base camp. Among the climbers, there was a 33-year-old police superintendent from Gujarat, India. She was reading quietly in her tent when she noticed a strange, haunting silence just moments before the disaster unfolded. The team had been acclimatizing at base camp for nearly 2 weeks, preparing for their summit attempt in May. What followed was pure chaos as the avalanche, triggered by a powerful earthquake, surged down the slopes, flattening tents, burying supplies, and taking lives. What makes these avalanches so deadly is the silence that often accompanies them. There's a little warning, a shift in the snowpack, a slight crack, and then devastation. For those who experience this silence before disaster strikes, it's a sound they never forget, adding to the unpredictability of Everest, where nature's forces can turn from tranquil to terrifying in an instant. Number 1. Ghost camps. High up on the towering slopes of Mount Everest, ghost camps lie scattered across the mountain like haunting relics of past expeditions. These abandoned camps, filled with empty tents, discarded oxygen bottles, and forgotten supplies, are chilling reminders of climbers who either failed to complete their journey or never returned from the descent. Frozen in time, these camps tell a story not only of triumph and adventure, but also of tragedy and loss. To those who pass by, the sight is eerie, a solemn testament to the human drive to conquer the highest peak in the world. As climbers push their way through the thin air and fight exhaustion, they often leave behind their heavy gear, too weak or ill to carry it back down. The South Col, one of the key staging areas before the final ascent, has become notorious for the sheer volume of abandoned items. Sherpas estimate that over 30 tents have been left on this high-altitude plateau. Retrieving it is no simple task. At over 26,000 feet, where oxygen is scarce and every step could be fatal, the mountain refuses to give up its treasures easily. In recent years, images of these ghost camps have shocked the world. Photos show the sad reality of Everest's growing trash problem, where refuse and tattered tents are left behind. Despite the constant threats of avalanches, crevasses, and shifting ice falls, what drives climbers to risk everything in their pursuit of conquering Everest? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.